Welcome to Our Ludicrous Future podcast, episode 4. This is the podcast where we take a look at the newest current technologies and how they're going to change the crazy future we're going to be living in. My name's Joe Scott from the Answers with Joe YouTube channel, and with me is...
Hi, I'm Tim Dodd from the Everyday Astronaut YouTube channel. And we also have, of course, this week with us...
Ben Sullins from Teslanomics.
I totally didn't rehearse that.
This is number 4. We're committed to. We've done 4, and right off the bat, sorry for last week's audio. Hopefully, this week's audio is infinitely better. We've been working on different solutions. Last week's solution was the worst in the world, and hopefully, this week we sound significantly better. We're trying some new things. The goal is to not have to sit here. We're all 3 already doing full-time YouTube things, so none of us want to be sitting there having to edit stuff back together. So hopefully this solution works out pretty well.
I have a good feeling about this. Star Wars reference for you.
Maybe this will be the second worst solution in the world. We're going to move up slowly over time.
We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. And hopefully people will stay with us.
Yeah. Hopefully the product just gets better and better.
Well, so how you guys been this last week?
Good. It's been a crazy week, huh?
Tim, are you still sick?
Yes.
So it's not his microphone this week, guys. It's actually
officially just the plague.
It's raining here in San Diego today, which means basically Armageddon. You know, people don't know how to drive. You just, what is going on? And it lasted for about 40 minutes, and now it's completely dry outside. So,
yeah. We've had like floods all over Iowa and everything. So that's just normal. And
so
by the way, yesterday,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, yesterday was 85. Today it's 45. Welcome to Iowa.
What?
Dead serious.
Wow. It's 45 there right now?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's like that old meme of 45 degrees in October and people are like bundled up, and then 45 degrees in March and they're like just laying outside naked. You know? It's like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Joe, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to ask if you're the type of guy that works through your colds, or do you like try to take it easy and let it pass? I'm the latter.
I'm like sometimes I like go running and stuff because I feel like if you get the blood flowing, it'll help it like get kicked out. And then sometimes I hit that wall and I'm just like, nope, I have to just sit in a bathtub for 2 hours and hope it goes away. I'm going to cook it out of me.
My family has a method called the old turkey. The wild turkey. And so, it's, so you drink wild turkey, what is it? A bourbon or a rye, whatever, crazy 100 proof whiskey. And, you drink that until you pass out. And then you sleep for a day, 24 hours, whatever. You wake up, you have some orange juice, see how you're feeling. If you're feeling better, good, you're done. If not, drink wild turkey until you pass out again, and then rinse and repeat.
Dang, your family goes hard.
That's the old... from the old world method or whatever. Didn't Saturday Night Live, back when Farley was on there, they had a sketch where I forget what the name of it was a fake commercial, but it was the name of the product that escapes me, but it was basically you drink this when flu season hits and you just basically go into a coma throughout flu season and just sleep through the whole thing. And then you wake up like,
yeah, that's exactly right. That's the idea.
Really not a bad idea. Well, should we get to the stuff that people want to hear about instead of colds? I mean, colds are cool, but
let's do it. Let's do it.
I'll take the lead here because I have the first story.
Go fat.
So this weekend, hopefully you guys can see this. And for those of you listening, by the way, we do this on YouTube as well. So if you want to see what we're talking about, you can do that. But we try to make it so it's podcastable. So this weekend, Sunday now, we're looking at SpaceX launching. It says the 8th, which is Monday, but technically it is the 8th. It's in the morning, at least UTC time. But this is launching from California. SpaceX is launching a Falcon 9 rocket, which is always fun. But this one's going to be extra special, guys. Does anyone know why this one's special?
Something
Will
about
it show us? Will we see the clouds again?
Ooh. I wonder how that'll time out. I don't know. So let's see. That'd be like 7:20, I think, ish Western.
PM or
morning. They might do it.
We might get that again.
It's dark though by then. Nowadays, like 6:30, 6:45. It's pretty dark by then.
But
it's way up in the
miles in altitude. That might be because it needs to be dark on the ground, but not like it's probably about 40 minutes after sunset is like perfect for that twilight phenomenon. And what we're talking about is, especially it was a year ago or so, a SpaceX rocket took off in California, and it took off at night. The sun had been down for about 45 minutes or whatever. The rocket ascends into the sky, and it got high enough that all of a sudden it was being illuminated by the sun, backlit illuminated. So the sun was kind of behind it. If you're, it was west of the rocket if you're in California. So you're seeing the sunlight hit all of the exhaust plume, and it created this it looked like an enormous whale in the sky, and everyone panicked thinking it was an alien invasion. So that might happen. So if that happens, that'll be cool. Then there's two other things. There's going to be three things that could make this launch extra spectacular. So this is a pretty normal Earth observation satellite. By the way, if you want to get a rundown on launches, I have this website called everydayastronaut.com, but I have this pre-launch preview section that'll tell you everything you need to know about launches. So it'll tell you the time and the date here, who's paying for it, what the mission is. So this one's SAOCOM 1. It's an Earth observation for Argentina. An Earth observation satellite. It's launching on a Falcon 9, launching out of Slick 4E out of Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. It's pretty light. It's only 1,600 kilograms. That's actually quite small for an entire Falcon 9. There's a lot smaller rockets that could launch that. But here's the cool part. Will they recover the first stage? Yes. Yes, they are. This is a Block 5 booster, so it's very much so recoverable. But here's the cool part. This will be the first time they're trying to land back at Vandenberg Air Force Base.
Oh,
wow. So not a drone ship landing this time.
Wow.
This will be the first time they're landing the booster back in California. So the booster will go up, head towards, for the first 2.5 minutes, go kind of south-ish to start getting that upper stage into its orbital trajectory and into its actual orbit. The second stage keeps going south into orbit because this is a north-south. All launches out of Vandenberg go north and south. They're in a polar orbit. And then the booster will flip around, head back north, and land at what's known as, they're calling this LZ4, so landing zone 4. This is going to be awesome.
So all of them before now, they just dumped the first stage.
On the West Coast, in California, they've landed on the drone ship. Just read the instructions.
Okay.
On the West Coast when it's a chance to do that. But landing back at land is so much cooler. Yeah. So much cooler. And the coolest thing is this launch pad is like really, really, really close. It's like a quarter mile or like 400 meters or something. I don't remember the exact number, but I better figure that out. Really close to the launch pad. And as opposed to out on the East Coast, the launch pad and landing pad are like 7 kilometers or something apart. Like they're a good distance apart. Here, they're like literally right next to each other, which would be just, I don't know. That just adds a whole nother layer of coolness. And one of the funny things about this is it took so long for them to be able to be approved by Vandenberg to do these. Why do you think it took them years to get approval to land at Vandenberg?
Well, because you're right by LA.
You're not very close to LA.
Well, you're near people. You're not like landing out in the middle of the ocean.
Same with East Coast. You're right next to Cocoa Beach, all that stuff. You're not any closer there.
Because it's an Air Force base?
You're right next to the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. So,
because California regulations, because it's communist state.
Yes. We have Texans on the podcast, people.
The answer is they had to steal some seals and expose them to sonic booms, specifically baby seals, and make sure they wouldn't crap their pants and die.
Nice.
It literally was like a wildlife. They had to do a whole bunch of wildlife research to make sure that the animals wouldn't panic from the sonic boom. I'm thinking like the rocket launch itself is already crazy, crazy, crazy loud. Yeah. All the animals will already be in the state of like, extreme what's upness and crapping their pants as is. And then a sonic boom on top of that. Who cares?
Will the sonic boom create waves? This is what I'm interested in.
Ooh, no, because you just want to surf them, don't you?
That's right.
No, I don't think so. So that's going to be exciting. So that'll be really cool to see one come back in California. And those, long streak images at night where you get to see the art go up. And then we haven't seen that at the West Coast with the landing burn coming back to land will be really exciting. So I hope my West Coast photographers are ready to get some awesome pictures. Yes. But the other cool thing is they are still trying to recover the fairings. Mm-hmm. So those are the, the payload fairings are like the basically a mobile clean room. They're what keep the satellite safe and clean and aerodynamically protected on ascent. And these things cost like $4 to $6 million, somewhere between there, the estimates, and traditionally get discarded. And so far, they've actually had a good job of recovering them. But in saltwater, they have not yet landed one on the drone ship. They have a dedicated ship. Actually, it's not a drone ship. This one's actually piloted. They have a ship with giant arms and a net slung between them. And they're trying to catch it as it comes down on a parafoil, basically a steerable parachute. It's just absolute bonkers.
So, and that's Mr. Stevens?
That's Mr. Stevens, yep. So this is going to be really, really, really cool. If it's Twilight Phenomenon, they land on land and they recover a fairing. This is just another one of those steps in their whole process of trying to reuse as much as possible. So they've tried about 4 times, I think, so far. This is their 5th attempt at actually getting a boat underneath the fairing to catch it. So,
and the fairing, they can recover it anyways, right? Like it just lands on the water and floats.
So because they've had these parafoil parachutes, they've been able to touch down soft enough that it does land in the water and doesn't, shatter, which is cool. But, really expensive aero grade clean. You imagine dunking your clean room, in the
ocean. Yeah.
In the ocean. It's just,
but like so it's not a total loss, but this would be more ideal, better recovery and all that.
I think it's considered a total loss if it actually goes in the water. So that's why they have to keep it dry. So, they recover them now. And I think they've been doing like testing and some things like that with them. Even the ones that they recovered from the water, but yeah.
So I imagine this has to be nothing but net when they catch it. Like it can't hit one of the poles or anything. It can't that would bust it up, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. They gotta nail this, which it's a huge net. This thing is like 100 meters by 100 meters or something insane.
Like a football field square.
Yes. It looks absurd because the boat's teeny and then it's just got this huge net around it. I should probably pull up pictures.
It seems ridiculous. Like, why don't you just, maybe they've done this, but aren't some of the pods that land, don't they have essentially like airbags underneath them? Like, so they land on a raft, like it deploys something underneath it. So it just kind of.
So capsules, when they have humans on board, do have that. Let me see if you guys can see this stuff. I have some pictures here. There
I see. There's the parafoil. There's the ship. Yeah.
That's the ship. There's the parafoil.
Yeah, it looks like a spider.
It's great. It's a giant spider net. I mean, really.
And is somebody going to be on that ship, or is that ship being remotely guided?
Yeah, no. These are crewed.
Wow. So here's this giant thing coming back down at you. You're trying to, dude. That's sketchy. That's super sketchy.
I think now the net covers. Before it didn't.
Yeah, I know. Like you just land on the bridge and crush you.
But they're pretty lightweight and it is coming down gently. So I don't think it would kill you, but it'd sure ruin a lot of expenses.
It would hurt the ship. Yeah, it definitely would be.
Look they had this. They put a cage, like a roll cage.
Jeez.
Around it before, but now they don't need that because they have the net protecting it on top.
It's a new referral prize for Tesla owners. You can, ride on this ship. And then
the fairing comes down on you.
Happens to be a boat accident.
The guy at the head of the ship, just like,
yeah. Yes, there definitely should be some funny memes here about like trying to steer that thing.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Hopefully this happens. This is just another big step in reusability and, part of the goal of SpaceX.
So these parafoils, does that make it steerable? I mean, is there like a device in there that controls where it flies? So that's actually so basically the ship is out there. They're not steering the ship to the fairing. They're trying to steer the fairing to the ship.
Both.
But even still, there's 2 of them. They can't catch both of them in one ship, can they?
So not yet. Okay, so there's a lot of theories. The main theory is right now they're only doing one ship until they figure out what works. Why try 2 of the same not working systems? Get it figured out. And once they can reliably catch them, get 2 ships out there and catch them. Other people are saying they could change the timing and make it so one, slows down a lot more, comes down like 2 minutes later around the same area. And the ship could potentially like dump a fairing that quick and reset the net. I don't think that's.
I would just get 2 ships. Just get 2 ships. What's the deal? Ships are cheap.
We'll see. In the long run, if you're saving millions of dollars each time you do it.
But to my question though, like why doesn't the fairing itself just have a deployable raft that it lands on? I mean, that seems like it would be much easier because then it's like I don't care where it lands. I'm just going to go pick it up.
because it mostly, I think, because that adds a lot of mass. So there's always those calculations of, anything. The fairing, luckily, because it is deployed early on in the mission, it doesn't get, doesn't go with the second stage the whole time.
Yeah.
It only has like a 3 or 4 to 1 mass penalty. So say you add 1 kilogram say you add 4 kilograms to the fairing, it'll detract about 1 kilogram from your payload potential for your vehicle. So it's not as much as say you attach something to the upper stage. That's 1 to 1.
Wow.
So, but they still have to be mindful. Say they add this, 200 kilogram raft, you're removing 50 kilograms of payload capability.
And it there was a time when we tried to catch stuff in air, right? Old capsules or something like that. That was was that like 70s or 60s or something like that? But I mean, I wonder if that's like, you just fly by, catch the parafoil and, off you go.
That's actually, we have a good history of that because we, when our first spy satellites were known as the Corona satellites, in the US at least, and they deorbited themselves, parachuted, and then got swept up by a plane before they hit the water.
Right.
Because they had to use physical film and they had to recapture that film. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
They had to use film, and they had pretty decent luck with it by the end. So air capture was definitely an option. ULA, the United Launch Alliance, which is Boeing and Lockheed Martin, they produced the Atlas V. Their next generation rocket, the Vulcan, has this plan for reusable and recoverable engines. They're only planning to try to capture the engines, the most expensive part of the rocket, and it'll come in with this heat shield, deploy a parachute, and get swept up. That is their plan. So I'm actually surprised SpaceX is going with a boat.
It seems just from the kind of first principles of it, like not the best idea, because a boat moving on water is incredibly slow. And not like a plane, which can like fly around super fast and, adjust course and whatever. Yeah.
It's a fast boat. It's a really fast boat.
But still, I mean, just the nature of ships on water and the giant thing it has to carry with it is certainly less,
Or like 2 drones. Can you imagine these giant like hexacopters?
Yeah.
That can go 200 mile an hour zipping out there with a giant like net in between them, basically. I'm surprised, or 4 of them, 1 on each corner. You could span that thing a kilometer and have this giant surface area.
You'd probably need a whole lot of them, yeah. But I mean, why not?
Actually, think about this. What if they just got the boat near it, launched 4 large drones from that boat, and then they worked in? I'm actually really surprised they're not doing something more like that. That sounds way more SpaceX-y to me than this. Like,
well, I think then the problem would be. Then the problem would be if you drive the boat over there relatively close, right? Somewhere where it's coming down. You deploy the drones, they catch it. Depending on how far away you are, that has to carry it probably like maybe several kilometers back to somewhere safe. And drones and batteries aren't great, right?
They can be gas-powered drones where they have their own built-in generator.
Yeah, maybe.
That powers the motors. People are doing that for like, you can fly 2 hours with that type of stuff.
Yeah, you could probably throw like a Model 3 battery on there and it would last for like
There'd be
several
some big
hours.
Drones. There'd be some really, really, because they got to carry this,
But that's
a heavy thing.
That's where we're going, man. I mean, Uber, they canceled it, but Uber was doing that. If you ever saw their whole Uber Air program where they had these like giant drone ship, pods or like, passenger drones, essentially. I think we'll have passenger drones within a few years. Like that seems like a totally easy, direct kind of technology.
Yeah. So cool. So hopefully, I don't know, if not this, then hopefully soon we get other awesome things. I don't know. And good luck, SpaceX. Let's see it. Let's see a fairing come back into the port dry.
Yes.
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Great. Yeah.
Speaking of coming back into the port, we have, I don't know why, but we have the SEC and Elon round 3. Where's our boxing sound effects? I need to add those for sure.
No more sound effects.
See, they don't know. They don't know about the awesome sound effects that we have lined up for the future.
They won't either.
For any dad jokes or anything that we have. So yeah, SEC lawsuit. I think this is a rather quick segment. So Elon tweeted, back in August about funding Secure, taking the company private. That affected the stock price. Turns out that may or may not have been 100% true, or at least not to the level that the SEC considers it true. You may have had some talks, maybe not, but being an officer of the company, making a statement like that, you need to have much more concrete kind of term sheets and things like that, according to them. So back and forth, final round, Tesla or Elon settled with the SEC. Elon will have to pay a fine of $20 million. So will Tesla. And then Elon also has to have all of his communications reviewed by somebody, which I think is fascinating. And me personally, I'm very welcoming of this idea. So any tweet that he wants to send has to actually be reviewed by a lawyer now, to make sure it doesn't contain material evidence of, and I don't know if it's all tweets, but anything possibly related or something like that. Go ahead.
Can we pause there? Because this actually makes me sad. As far as a stock owner, this makes me happy. But as far as that's one of the things I love about Elon is we learn so much from his candid tweets about Tesla and SpaceX and the Boring Company and everything else. I hope this is something where he hits tweet and it literally goes to another person and they just simply go yes or no. Because if there's a thing where he has to email somebody and then they have to read it and be like, yes, this is okay, Elon, go ahead. No more candid anything. So I just hope it's literally he keeps tweeting like it's his job.
Yeah. Well, I agree. And that scenario you played out there is a new startup I'm working on. No, I've had this idea for a while where you and the idea before was you would kind of do this fake version of Twitter for people like Elon, high profile billionaires that can affect the world with just a single tweet, to where they would actually send a tweet, and they would think it went out, but in reality, it went to this fake Twitter universe that you created for them, with literally just hundreds of people sitting around responding to it, being trolls, whatever, and him just fucking letting go, and then. And in reality, nope, the real world didn't see any of that. So, and the PR team.
That's what Twitter is anyway.
No, but it would not be, it would be, yeah. And then the PR team could just kind of have that, installed on his phone without him knowing. I love that. I think you're right. It should be streamlined because we still want his stream of consciousness, but there definitely needs to be some controls over there. It's like an alcoholic or something, right? Yeah, most people can go out and have just a couple drinks and be fine, but Jeff over here, not so much. He just has to not have any, otherwise he just goes down that rabbit hole. I think that's Twitter for Elon. It's like catnip or something.
Well, but also, I mean, kind of to Tim's point, how many times have people reached out to him with an idea or with, a complaint or something, and he said, sure, we'll get right on that. And then 2 days later, it's now part of the new Tesla hardware or software or something like that. It's just no other company in the world does that. That's one of the things I think that's one of their strengths. So yeah, I'm kind of with you, Tim, but at the same time, it's if it is something where it's just somebody, like you said, that's just okay, yeah, he's not going to get us in trouble by saying that. I think that's,
yeah,
I'm for
there has to be a solution for this that balances that. Yeah. Right. So he gets to stay on as CEO.
Oh, we lost.
Yay. Awesome. Great result. But he does have to step down as chairman of the board.
I can't hear Ben anymore.
And then with that,
you can? I can't hear Ben.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Technical issues.
There we go.
Gotcha. You're back, Joe. I put you on mute because you were not agreeing with me. So no, he has to step down as chairman, and from there he can they will have to appoint 2 independent directors, and then after 3 years he can reapply. I guess I don't know what the process is to become chairman again, which is good. I think this is probably one of the best outcomes. The other possibility was he just fights it, and that could be a long drawn out thing. And if he would have lost that, he would have not been able to be the CEO at all. So that would have been really bad. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm mixed on it. What do you guys think?
Well, is he still fighting it? I saw, of course, it was just a headline and I didn't do my due diligence of actually reading it. Is he kind of fighting it more now or something?
He tweeted out some naughty by nature thing.
Yeah.
But no, as far as I know, it's settled. There hasn't been any update to the story that I've seen. Let me see.
Sweet. That was my question.
Yeah.
I just can't get over the part of the tweet that got him in trouble was funding secured, those 2 words. And now he's paying $20 million for it. So that was $10 million a word.
Which for reference to us would be $100 penalty. So we shouldn't feel too bad for him.
And
I'm just like, those are the most expensive 2 words ever.
He does deserve that, though. You can't talk like that when you like that's, and it was all in rebuttal to the whole like shorts, because this is when there was article after article after article after Tesla's gonna fail, Tesla's bankrupt, blah 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 blah. And I think he just like full blown lost his mind. Like imagine you're like, you can clearly see we're going to do fine, but your stock's just doing this because people are being jerks and like you're going to fail and you can't make any of these cars and now no one can get these cars. And it's like, just wait 1 month. And
yeah.
And speaking of that, we now have Q3 numbers officially in, and they are spectacular. So we'll have the earnings call coming up early November, usually the first week in November, usually on a Tuesday or Wednesday. But the Q3 numbers, the production numbers anyways, we don't have financials, but we have the production numbers. And so insane. So 80,142 produced cars, which is 50% higher than their highest quarter ever, which was the previous quarter, Q2, which makes a lot of sense because now with the Model 3, that's where all this is coming from. They almost doubled their Model 3 production in Q3 at 53,000. They delivered, and this was a shocking number to me, they delivered 83,500 vehicles, which is almost, or actually no, it's above 80% of all of the cars they delivered last year. So in the last 3 months, they delivered over 80% of all of last year's numbers. So this is where people like me and a lot of these other folks were like, all the shorts coming out, we're going, what are you guys talking about? Like they're about to crush this. And so like, what are you guys kind of, thinking? Like you're not based in reality. Now they still have a target of 100,000 S and X deliveries in 2018, which I believe is slightly down from all of 2017. But it makes sense. The Model 3 is ate up a lot of time and energy there. So my guess was 150,000 Model 3s. So that would put them at 250,000 deliveries for 2018 roughly, which is, I believe, just about double all of last year. And then going into 2019, you're looking at potentially 500,000 housing cars being delivered, which will be amazing. Also, 2019 we'll see the standard battery. You'll start to see it in Europe. You'll start to see the Model 3 in China. So people that even maybe think Tesla's kind of running out of room here I don't think they've thought how global and how big Tesla's audience really is. I mean, there are literally, thousands and thousands of people that have already paid in Europe and in Asia and in Australia waiting for this car. They have barely even got a glimpse of it. Most of those people have never even seen one in person. Meanwhile, we're kind of flush with them out here in California. They're making their way to the rest of the U.S. So I think the future is very bright and very long for Tesla. And so, all signs point to potentially a profitable Q3, which at that point, it's game over for all the shorts and everyone else.
I'm sure they'll stop talking at that point.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're just done.
Yeah,
that'll be it.
They'll let it go.
Yeah, they'll let it go. But that is really exciting to me is that, we're just like, now that cars are being delivered, I can't tell you how many of my friends and family members are very heavily considering Teslas to be their next car that would have never considered it before. So I think that's even something that's maybe not as calculatable, not as like, you can't quite put a price or an actual, like number on those referrals and the actual people driving and experiencing the cars. I think that's something that's going to be hard to factor in here.
Yeah, it's the ripple effect. And Joe, you kind of have a story like that, don't you?
Yeah, if you guys have a minute, it's pretty funny. So my mother-in-law came and visited this weekend, and so I got to do the whole thing of showing her the car, and we drove around and all the oohs and the ahs and all that kind of stuff, which is always fun. But the really funny part was we went to dinner. And we went to this place, which is down on Lower Greenville. Anybody that's familiar with Dallas, Lower Greenville is this area that's a lot of bars, a lot of restaurants, but no parking. They just decided people don't drive in Dallas, apparently. So everything is valet down there. And I've only valeted the car twice so far. And the first time the guy kind of had been in one and understood it. And this guy came up and didn't know how to open the door. And I'm like, oh, here we go. This is gonna take a little time. So it's one of those ridiculous things where literally he backed the car into a parking spot that was like 12 feet away. It was literally, he just reversed it into a spot and it was right there. And I had to literally be like, okay, well, here's the card, use it on the thing, you put it on and you go to reverse. And like, I almost had to like sit in the car with him and show him how to do it. So the whole thing was ridiculous. But anyway, so we're having dinner, and one funny thing that kind of came up during dinner was my wife was the car came up and we were talking about it. And my wife was like, yeah, when he ordered this car, when he reserved it, 2 years ago, I was like, he's not going to get it. He's not actually going to get this thing. And then when it started to come up and he was ordering it, she was like, I mean, I guess he can afford it. Okay, I guess we're doing this, But of course I was just talking about it nonstop. And I think at that point she was like, just get the damn car and stop talking about it, So she was just like, F this car before we even got it. And then what she told her mom was, she was like, but then we got the car and I got inside of it and I was like, oh my God, like, I get it. This is so cool. And basically what I'm getting at here is my wife admitted she was wrong, which never, ever, ever happens. So that was like the biggest win of all time.
Write that down.
I know, right? It's on my calendar. But so
anniversary.
As we're a year from now, I was like, remember that time you said you were wrong? God, that's great. It's a good time. But no, so as we're about to leave, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I should just go summon the car.
Yeah.
Because it's literally right there, And so I was debating back and forth, should I do it? Is that just super douchey, Because like as we were sitting there eating, I was watching the valet guy. He kept kind of walking over and looking at it, looking in the window and everything. He was just like, what is this thing from the future, And so finally I was like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So
I've got it on the screen there so people can see.
Yep. So I walked out there and I had it open. I was ready to go. And I went up to the guy and I was like, hey, you want to see a magic trick? And he didn't understand English very well. So I had to repeat it a couple of times. And I just kind of like showed him the app and I pressed the button. And my wife had not seen this happen before. I'd only done it a couple of times myself, just, testing it out. And so I pressed the button, the windows unfold. Thanks. The windows unfold, or the mirrors unfold, the lights come on, and my wife kind of turns to her mom and says, oh yeah, he can turn the car on from his phone. And then it starts rolling forward. Everybody loses their mind. My wife was like, what? No. And it was like this. I mean, everybody's like, no, they've never seen anything like that before in their lives. So here's what I've decided the process needs to be if you really want to show off your Model 3 is people first get in, they ooh and ah about the screen and there's no buttons and the roof, the glass roof. That's what they first get. Then they get how quiet it is. They say it's all quiet. Then you do the acceleration. They about that. And then you show them autopilot and they're like, ooh, it's driving itself. But then you show them summon. And I think that's really what blows the crap out of their pants because like there's something psychologically fundamentally different about being outside the car and you can see there's no one behind the wheel and the car is driving itself.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's what really blows people's minds because it's like, holy crap, like there's no other car in the world that can do that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my story and my advice for any Model 3 owners. Like that's how you really
best party trick ever.
And currently it is just kind of a party trick, but it will soon be something worthwhile.
Some people, there are use cases where it makes sense. I've seen some where like their house, their driveway is tiny and you can't actually get into a car. It's kind of like an RV parking space where, it just has like just barely fits. And so they'll use it to actually park their car there. To me, that sounds like a huge pain in the ass that I don't want to deal with, but
every time.
Yeah, it seems, but yeah. And I've had a mixed experience with it where it'll stop often. And it says something about like the proximity sensor on my phone. And I think it's my phone case. Like but yeah, when you get it to work, like I did that same thing at the drag races. Cause they're like, I went there and they're like, hey, yeah, pull your car forward. I'm like, oh, cool. Hold on. And I just did it. And they're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I have two funny stories about this. So I was showing off someone one time and I had it so it automatically opens the garage door and backs out. We have a detached garage. And so it was my parents and their friends from out of town were like, coming over. They hadn't seen our house and they hadn't seen our car. So I'm like, well, I'll get it, and I'm like, check this out, and starts backing it. It starts backing out of the garage, right? It opens the door, backs out of the garage. My parents' van was parked far enough that it couldn't get all the way out. So it stopped itself, but it had started closing the garage door.
Oh, no.
So I ran over to the button, like the garage door button, and hit it before. So that was a fail. That was definitely a fail. It should know, like, I didn't make it out of the garage. I shouldn't be doing the garage door. But that's why this is still in beta. So make sure you're paying attention to this stuff. The other one is just yesterday, I did something to my wife that was pretty mean. She was running out the door. She does like a volleyball league. She was running out the door almost late for it. And I was like, bye, see you later. And for some reason, I don't know why, I just thought it'd be funny. She had parked the car just really quickly in the driveway, not in the garage, just so she could run in and out of the house after work. And she's going out to it. I start summoning it backwards. So she just sees it rolling down the driveway. And she's like, the panic on her face was just, no, I'm running up trying to figure out what's going on. And yeah, it was pretty mean, but also pretty funny. So I called her right away and apologized.
That's funny.
So yeah, I guess someone is fun for everybody. Is the
Have you guys tried it? On my driveway, it's like a hill, kind of like it goes up a little hill and then straight into the garage. Mine will not go on the hill. Like if it's on the hill and I put some in, it'll attempt to and just stop immediately. Have you guys tried any things like that?
My garage situation is exactly the same. And I tried it once. It didn't have trouble rolling forward, but I just chickened out because it's like 3 or 4 inches from the mirrors on each side in the garage. It's super tight. And as it started getting closer and closer, I was like, no, I can't do it. So I stopped. But it didn't have any trouble going up the hill. I don't remember.
What about, do the sensors
really
ever go off for you guys? Like you're going to hit something when there's not something there?
I haven't had that.
So maybe it's because my car's lowered. But
I also
in my garage, I have gym mats, like these thick, maybe half-inch thick rubber mats. And as I'm pulling in, it always freaks out. Like the sensors start screaming that I'm going to like run into a wall or something like that. And I'm not sure if it
bounces off it or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure if just because my car is lowered or if that's just the sensors are a little, hyperactive or whatever.
Mm. Well, the first time I pulled into my garage, all the little beeps and dings started going off and warnings, and I almost had a panic attack because it is really tight, and I wasn't ready for these like, bing, 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 stop, we're getting close to something, and so that was that traumatic. I'm still recovering. What
kills me is I'll be doing that thing and my son will be sleeping in the back of the car and I'm like pulling into my garage and it starts binging and bong and I'm like, shut up. Like you're going to wake him up. Wish there was a way. I mean, maybe it makes sense. There's not a way to disable that, but.
Well, so if we could go back to the numbers for just a second.
Yeah.
Talking about the Q3 numbers, something that doesn't get talked about very much is that, we're seeing these crazy numbers and this is the expensive version.
Right.
Like this isn't even the $35,000 version that really I think most people are waiting for,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And my question, and Ben maybe you know the answer to this, is we're getting up to an average of 4,000 to 5,000 cars a week, and we're seeing the boosts in deliveries because of that out of the Fremont factory. But is that about capacity, you think, for what they can do at Fremont? I mean, I know that eventually they're going to start building them at the Gigafactory, and then of course the future Gigafactories in Shanghai and Buffalo and those kinds of places. But
I've not heard, maybe you've heard something I haven't, but that the actual Gigafactory will make cars. Currently the plan.
You haven't heard that?
No, the plan is just to make just to make the powertrains and the battery packs. Future Gigafactories will all make cars as well. So the China one.
Maybe that's something.
Yeah, but then there's also what they call Gigafactory 2 in Buffalo, which doesn't do any of this. It just makes the solar tiles for the roof and solar panels and all that kind of stuff.
So it's only solar.
Yeah,
so it's only the energy component.
Correct.
It was my understanding that Gigafactory 1 would keep expanding, and eventually the goal of even because I think like when he first announced it or did some kind of big public thing like 2 or 3 years ago, said like our goal here is to have raw imports on one end and cars come out the other end.
Yeah, that was the original. If you look at the original presentation, and then they revised that like a year or so later, and said no, it's only going to make batteries. So I mean, it makes a big chunk of the car, like the pack itself plus the powertrain. So like all of the cabling and all that kind of stuff. But then all the general assembly happens in Fremont. My guess is finding people. I mean, you're literally in the middle of nowhere. The closest town is Reno. No, diss to Reno, but Reno, living in Reno versus like living in the Bay Area, people are probably going to be living in the Bay Area. So I think that's maybe why. But yeah, they do need to build another one soon, or start planning it if it's not already underway and we just haven't heard about it. So
yeah, that's where I get confused is, I mean, there's only so much they can do at Fremont. They're going to have another, especially when the Y comes out. Yeah,
they did get permits for another tent. I saw that posted. So I'm telling you,
build from tents from now on.
Partnering with REI, it's going to work. No, so there may be other stuff, but I think they actually said what that's for, and it's for repairs or parts or something. It wasn't for an actual line. No, but yeah. So this was, I think, me and everyone, a lot of other people's skepticism initially when Elon said 10,000 cars per week. We said, yeah, not at Fremont. There's no way. And it's ironic because I'll hear people say this that have never been there. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, that's what Elon said. And that's gospel. And you're like, dude, go there. This thing is packed to the gills. There is no room anywhere. So people are.
But what are they? Yeah. What are they currently producing there between 3S and X per week?
7. Like, what is there? That would be the ideal is 7,000, 5,000 Model 3s and 2,000 S and X. So it used to be they had 2 lines, and that was S and X, and then they combined those to a single line, and then the other one was then going to be Model 3. So Model 3 would be aligned, and then S and X would be aligned. Then they added the tent thing, so that's not like a full line, I don't think. It's like maybe just the performance models or dual motors or different variants of it, something like that. But yeah, it's extremely tight. There's definitely zero room to make any more cars there. So at this point, they're really looking at are kind of optimizations within the current process, right? So
and speeding up the actual line,
yeah,
right?
And so getting it to 10,000, I think is kind of out of the question. That's not going to happen. Maybe 6,000 Model 3, maybe. It's hard to say really. So, but they're pretty much close to capacity. But that's what 350,000 cars a year that they could make if they're at 7,000 times 50 weeks, which doesn't include within 2 years. I think they said they want the China factory to start producing stuff. And I think in that letter, in the update letter, it's mentioned that something about China coming online earlier, which I mean makes a whole lot of sense. That's the world's factory, and they've got people and equipment. Like that should be a much easier process, I would say, than trying to get it up and running here in the States.
Well. And Joe, you had talked about this too, and that's yeah.
Speaking of the Gigafactory, Tesla is so famous for missing all their goals, but they're actually, it looks like, according to Clean Technica in this article, they're 2 years ahead of schedule on the Gigafactory. They were going to try to achieve 35 gigawatt hours per year by 2020. That was their original target date, and it's now looking like they're going to hit that by the end of this year. Wow. Which is insane.
Wow.
I mean, some rare good ahead of schedule news for Tesla.
This is the amount cell output. So this is how many battery packs and things they're producing is what you're saying. This isn't the amount of solar. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. This looks like so this is a 2014, what's up on screen here. And if you're on the podcast, there's a chart here, a 2014 presentation from Tesla, and they're sitting here going 2020 vehicle volume. They're hoping for around 500,000 a year. 2020 Gigafactory cell output, 35 gigawatts hour a year. 2020 Gigafactory pack output, 50 gigawatt hours per year. And it sounds like we're hitting that this year, maybe? Is that what you're saying then?
Yeah, the cell output.
Right. So the cells, right. So go back up. So the packs are the actual packs for the cars. Cells, I don't know what cell means in this case, because the cells, to my knowledge, come from Panasonic. So like they actually get the cells, kind of the like AA battery looking things, and then they assemble them into the packs. That's how it's made. So I don't know what they're talking about when they refer to cells here. Maybe actually making the cells themselves, but I don't know that they do that. Maybe.
Well, I think they do that because isn't that part of the partnership with Panasonic? Is actually producing the cells there too.
Oh, okay, yeah. Maybe there's an agreement there I'm not aware of. But then this, as we just mentioned, the idea of vehicle volume. They later clarified what they meant was like the equipment for vehicles, not cars themselves. That clearly could change. And I think a lot of people agree that would make a lot of sense, but there's probably more logistics to it than it's like anything. Someone was talking about the dash cam coming in version 9. Like, well, why is this taking so long? I was like, if you sit down and write down all the stuff it takes to make a service like that, like building Dropbox, let's say, it takes a lot. Like there are a lot of things to consider. So yeah, maybe it will produce cars one day, but certainly if you wrote down everything that's required, they're probably a lot harder than it at first blush
initially seems. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, what else do we have here that we? I don't know. We talked about the SEC. We talked about Gigafactory.
Well, everybody just know that we are on a streak of whatever it is we talk about is completely obsolete 24 hours later. So
yes.
Some big thing's going to hit in the next,
24
couple hours.
That's right.
Yeah. In other words, the Gigafactory is going to probably blow up. Oh, I should not say that.
Why would you do that?
SpaceX won't exist on Friday morning. They're going to go bankrupt.
Let's talk about, have you guys seen the video of the new version of autopilot on Mad Max mode?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I saw it on a thing.
Yeah, that was nuts. And I am super nervous for people.
Well, explain it. Was it just like super aggressive and lane changes and stuff like that?
Well, so with version 9, it's the first attempt of Tesla to go into the more full self-driving capabilities. Like up to this date, full self-driving basically meant 0 additional features. And so the idea is that they're trying to push into that, and they're actually asking employees to become beta testers, offering them like free autopilot and free full self-driving. So, thousands of dollars of upgrades to their cars. According to Electrek, they're looking at 100 to 200 employees to become a part of this. And yeah, some of the demos out there would essentially do the on-ramp to off-ramp. So imagine you're getting on the freeway and you throw it in autopilot and it will navigate around cars. So as cars slow down, it would instead of slowing down with it, it would go around them and find a path and then take you to the off-ramp as well. So almost like getting closer and closer to the idea of full self-driving. And I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's like anything, early people are going to be super stoked on it and they're going to get themselves into trouble. I think that's what it's going to come down to,
I'm super bullish on eventual self-driving. I don't want to be a beta tester though.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not that bullish on it.
Yeah. The thing that for me is I don't even think even the lane change thing isn't considered part of full self-driving yet. Isn't it just still considered enhanced autopilot?
Correct. That's still technically enhanced autopilot. So
is anything, even in version 9, there's still no benefit yet to full self-driving package?
0.
And that came out in 2016. Is that correct? When people could start paying?
I think it was the second half of 2016.
So we're over 2 years now of people that have paid for full self-driving and have received literally 0 benefits.
Did you pay for it?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Not 2 years ago.
No, not 2 years ago. But the reason I did is now because at least we know you're going to get that hardware update when they get that new GPU system.
Yeah, and so that's the question, right? So and it's not a GPU, actually. They're not doing a GPU for this. It's an upgrade to the MCU. So they're making their own chips to do this. And they said that they will need an upgrade. And if you purchase the full self-driving package, it will be included. But if you didn't and you want to go full self-driving, you'll have to pay for the upgrade. So the question then becomes, well, okay, what's the difference? Because this is kind of just a matter of cost at this point, right? It's not like when autopilot came out and any car previously could not be retrofitted. This will be like, oh, and they even said, that it'll just be a chip that they change. It'll fit in the same slot and everything. So that's all good. And then you start, if you think about it, the cost of one of these chips, it can't be that much, honestly. Even the highest end CPUs or GPUs you can buy for gaming or cryptocurrency mining or things like that. I mean, maybe a couple hundred, like $600-700, is like the cost of it, the retail price that you could pay for something now. So it's it'll be interesting to see. I'm guessing it'd be $1,000 to $2,000 in addition to the cost of full self-driving, which already has a penalty for not buying it in advance. So maybe you're looking at $10,000 upgrade to go from regular enhanced autopilot to full self-driving. That's my guess.
Yeah, but I'm excited for that, and who knows though? I'm just waiting for this stuff. But yeah, I think the big thing is this is the stuff that people love and hate about Tesla.
Yep,
is they'll take your money for something that's not ready, and they'll basically turn you into a beta tester, like you were saying, Joe. But there's at the same time though that you do advance quicker, than having it closed in a box potentially and letting no one into your program and testing things. But it's just we're in a weird world right now where it's like, is that the right thing to do? Is that helping? I'll gladly lend you $3,000 right now so you can get this out sooner, in a sense. That's kind of where I'm at.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Tesla haters would say that they're taking advantage of people, and the people who are giving them this money or whatever, they're stupid. But at the same time, I'm like, if somebody is a believer and they want to support it and they want to push things forward, or I mean, it's your money. You can spend it however you want. And if Tesla can take that money and do something innovative with it, then
I think we need to start thinking of this. People are always saying like, oh, Tesla fans are so fanatical, and but you got to think of like like a Corvette owner or someone that's been a lifelong. There's Corvette clubs that people are just as extreme about, right? So now picture if Corvettes were like, hey guys, listen. If you want to help us out, we're trying to make this thing so it can, we're going to, I don't know, push a new supercharger out on all of the 2018 ZR1s or something. But we need people to kind of test it. We're not quite ready for full release, but if you help us out, you can pay $3,000 now or $5,000 later for this performance upgrade. We'll get it out to you when it's ready, but some of you will get some of the features now. Or maybe not. I guarantee all of them, the people that could afford to would be like, yeah, I want to help with that. Like I'm a huge, and I don't see anything wrong with that.
I think the interesting thing, there's two interesting aspects to this. Well, I agree with you with what you're saying, but I think the reason people don't get it is because this is not how a car company typically works. This is more of how a tech company typically works, where you can, they essentially sell features before they're made. And that is in the internet how the world works, because the idea is to test whether or not people will buy it. Right. If I tell you here, if I do like a good spiel on here's what I'm going to sell and blah, 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 and nobody buys it, I know I shouldn't make it or I need to change it. Right. So I feel like there's that aspect. So it's just like a different mindset about how to go about sales. And it's a much more pragmatic way, I think, and how the internet kind of and technology works. So I think there's that. Then the other aspect of this whole thing was them asking employees to be beta testers and offering it for free. That to me goes back to my whole point that autopilot in general should be free for everybody. And the reason they want it to be free and they want beta testers is because they will get real world data. Without beta testers and stuff, this shadow mode, and people have argued with me about this and they're all wrong, is shadow mode data about like what the car was seeing is almost meaningless compared to the reaction of the person behind the wheel when it's actually doing it. Because if you take it out of autopilot and they can record that as an event of like, oh, okay, here's a problem that we should pay attention to and how we can actually fix it. Otherwise, you just get mountains and mountains of data about what the car was seeing, but you don't have any sense of like the signal versus the noise. And so I truly believe that autopilot should be free for everyone, or, you know, opt in, like, hey, do you want it or not? Like maybe, you know, some people are not into it, whatever, but it should be something that just like is free until they get to level 5 autonomy and it's truly solid. And then they can say, look, we are so confident that this thing is like really amazing. Yes, we're going to charge for it. But until then, it's free because it's going to help us develop it faster.
You know what I really want them to do? And I wish that at the end of your trips, it was something that's like, you know, you park, especially if you could like opt into this program as an owner and say, hey, whenever I finish a trip, I want a thing sent to my phone, an app, or I'll review it on the screen that says review your trip. Yeah. And like as you're driving, you could pop just a red button on the screen that says boop. And it's a little reminder of like, there was something wrong there, either with like the speed limits or autopilot tried to do this and it was supposed to do this, where you could then opt in. And then at the end of your trip, you review all those little flags you had and report them directly and have them be something that actually makes the best use of your time and data. To me, that would be, I mean, I would gladly do that, especially if, say, you're a routine, you know, you go on a commute every day and you're doing the same thing and your car does the same problem every time. And you could point to that problem, then they could consistently have the data of like, oh, this is the problem. This is what it should do. You know?
Yeah, totally.
And also, Ben, we need to finish, I think, with this. Where's version 9?
Yeah, I see. And you were texting me.
Got the fake out the other night.
You were texting me. Oh, it's happening. You know, it's not here, man. It's not going to be here for a while.
What happened? Why they started publicly rolling it out on the 2nd? So just so anyone, if you're looking at this on YouTube, there's this confusing chart. These are people that are signed up for TeslaFi. There's about 1,000 or 1,500 fleet vehicles, maybe, or something. And this will show which cars are updated on which version. Mm-hmm. So on the 10th, or on 10/2, on October 2nd, 15 cars got this new version 9 update, which is 2018.39.4 is considered version 9, this new fancy version. But then it just stopped. So like 1% of cars got it. They must have had some issue. Is that what we can take from this?
Yeah, no, it's not happening yet. Welcome to being a Tesla owner, is what I have to say. It'll be a while still. Elon will tweet end of week. Didn't mention which week. Didn't say which year.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
You know?
I saw someone on Reddit goes like, if there's anything, or no, they're like, it'll if I've learned anything about Tesla, it'll happen when it happens. And then the next comment was, this guy Tesla.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not something that I think you'll see. Yeah, exactly. You can't predict it. Just like any of this stuff, you know. Elon always has his optimist view on the world and how like, oh, if everything worked out, here's what would happen. But in reality, I mean, you know, you got to test things, you got to roll it out. I mean, it's in beta. There's videos of it all over the place, which is awesome. But yeah, when you get it, you'll get it. Otherwise, it's dumb to speculate. And don't get your hopes up, you know?
Yeah.
On that note,
don't get your hopes up.
We should probably start wrapping this up. What are you guys working on for this next week?
What about you, Ben?
I'm going to Vid Summit in Los Angeles. So if anyone listening is going to be there, come say hi. I'm speaking about winning 2 Teslas or earning 2 Teslas through the referral program. And other than that, afterwards, I should be able to get back to making more YouTube videos. I've been kind of putting that just the weekly news show, and because I've been doing all this other stuff. So looking forward to getting back to things. And yeah, hopefully by then version 9 will be out. You know, let's get our hopes up. Why not?
I'm working on last week. I think I mentioned I was working on that video about the BFS reentry system, the big Falcon ship. I'm putting the finishing touches on that today. I also realized I had another video. So I was kind of waiting. There was a talk. Hans from SpaceX, one of the lead engineers, spoke on Wednesday. So I didn't want to release this video until after he spoke in case he did something, you know, updating, which he didn't. So now I'm working to finish it. But in the meanwhile, I also have another video that's in the queue. I've never had 2 videos literally like done and unposted. Not only that, if SpaceX catches a fairing on Sunday, I already have another video shot. So I have 3 videos that I'm like ready to pop out, which feels great. And that feels really good because can't say anything yet, but I might be gone next week. I'll try to be able to remote in still, or we'll have to figure it out, but I might be out of the country next week. I'll find out hopefully here really soon, because who doesn't want to know their travel plans for international travel within a week of its being?
Hey, you don't have kids, nothing to worry about.
True. I mean, worst goes to worst, I'm gone and remote in. So yeah, so that's what's coming out for the Everyday Astronaut channel. Joe, what about you? What are you working on? I'm
working on a video about space junk and the Kessler syndrome and how we might just screw this whole thing up.
Yay.
Because I'm excited to get your opinion on that. I'm excited to get what you figure out from this.
How's it going? Will there be decapitations?
Well, with a single fleck of paint going fast enough could probably take your head off. So there's that. I will say this, like I was doing the whole doom and gloom thing, and I was like, surely there's an article out there somewhere that says this isn't really that bad. There's got to be, some fix or some thing that I'm missing here, and I couldn't find anything that was like, no, this is a surmountable problem. It was just like, no, this is bad. This is really bad. So. And it's important because now that SpaceX is going to be putting out more and more commercial stuff, and you got Rocket Lab. Hopefully soon will be, that's their goal, is to be just putting more and more stuff out there, and it's like this whole new industry. But it's like, is this sustainable? Is this something we can actually pull off?
Well, let me offer one little thing that you can look into a little bit. So a lot of people are talking about requiring a technology for satellites to be able to deorbit themselves at the end of their lifespan. That's one cure. The other one, SpaceX doesn't use any pyrotechnics. So for their fairings, when they release a satellite, it's all either pneumatics or spring loaded. They don't want something in orbit shooting bolts off into space. That's definitely something that can help curb some of that space junk.
Yeah. I'll talk a little bit about that.
Okay, good. I was going to say some of it's just definitely like planning for the future, but right now, a little scary.
Yeah.
Good. I'm excited to see that video. That'll be a good one.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
It's awesome. All right.
Well, is that it for now?
Until then, we will see you in our ludicrous future.
Nice.